everybody, Jack here again with Brooke from our US support team. Today we're going to be going through all the things you need to know if you run maybe an IV practice or you're a chiropractor who sees multiple people across multiple rooms in your practice all at once. So there's a few things you need to set up with Jane to make that run a little bit more easy in your practice. So Brooke is going to take over and share her screen and get you started with how to create rooms with Jane.
All right, so let me just share my screen here. So if you are in a practice where, like Jack said, you see multiple patients at a time, there is some setup that we need to do to offer this. So the first thing is to create the rooms that you have. Now, they don't necessarily have to be rooms. They could be something like a table, a chair, kind of any thing that you want to name that in your data account here. So to set up your rooms, and we'll get to resources eventually here, but the first thing to do is to make sure we actually have what we call advanced scheduling turned on, as rooms and resources and tags are part of that. So in your settings, we are going to head to schedule settings, and here you'll want to make sure that you have this advanced scheduling turned on. And then once you have that turned on, if you don't already have that, you'll see this additional advanced scheduling option here in your settings. And the first thing we're going to set up are our rooms, or like I said, table or chairs. You would just select new room and give it a name that would kind of make sense to here. I created some here. I have chair 1 and chair 2, and we can then go ahead and set our schedule for those. Yeah, so the next step for setting up your different rooms would be to add them to the shifts on your schedule or create your shifts altogether. So we've gone through shifts, I believe, Jack, in the
We have,
past.
we
Yeah,
have.
so there's kind of two options on how you want to create those. You could just create each individual day kind of right from your schedule here if you hit the shifts button, and I could add them here. Or if we're kind of doing everything from scratch, we can go ahead and hit the manage shifts option. With the manage shifts option, it's nice. I can do kind of all the days at once. It's easy to put multiple shifts on a day, which is what we're going to have to do when we're seeing multiple patients at a time. We need more than one shift. Yeah, so on our manage shifts, I can go ahead and add a new shift at the exact same time. And after I add these, I'm going to change this to chair 1, and I'm going to then add this other one to the other chair, chair 2. Or if I'm adding a brand new one, I can go ahead, set those, and set which room to that I'm going to be seeing these in. Make sure those are bookable online. Yeah, now if you do these the other way, so I'm just going to go ahead and add those. If I go ahead and add these the other way by using the shifts button, I can add one shift here. We'll do a very long one. I can set it to repeat if I needed to, and I'll assign it to that chair or table or room. And then to add in my next shift, I would have to enable double book mode. So to do that, I would have to hit D on my keyboard and then book another shift beside these.
And if you want to pop out of that double book mode, you just need to press D again, right? I know that some folks get a little worried when it doesn't pop back, and it's just
Yep.
as simple as pressing D again.
Yeah, so you just hit D again, and then now I've gone ahead and added my two shifts, and you'll see at the top of each that they are assigned to the appropriate room that they're in. Now, also, I know we probably have some practitioners who see more than two people. So however many patients that you can see at a time, you would then put that number of shifts, you create that number of rooms or tables and assign each one to the appropriate one.
Awesome. Um, and then maybe we'll have a quick look at stagger booking setup. For folks who don't know, that might be for people who have like high volume people coming in, and you just need like a couple minutes between each appointment to like bring people into that room or that chair before you go to the next person. So
Yeah.
staggered booking is how you're going to get that done.
Yeah, stagger booking kind of exactly what it sounds like. You're going to have a stagger of the start times essentially of your appointment. So if you've got, 5 rooms and you don't want all 5 people to show up all at the same time, you can have different start times there. So, and each individual staff member, so if you are in a multi-practitioner practice, each staff member can have their own stagger length if they'd like. So in each individual staff profile, we would then hit the edit option, and in the online booking setting, I can go ahead and set my stagger. So if I'm starting every 30 minutes, every 5 minutes, I can go ahead and change those.
Perfect. Yeah, I see a lot of chiropractic clinics and IV clinics just popping in that 5 minutes, right? That's all they
Hmm.
kind of need to get people sorted and into their room or their chair,
Yeah.
um, which is perfect. So maybe we can have like just a quick preview. I know you did the 30-minute stagger there, but maybe what that looks like in the schedule.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and book someone. I'm not sure actually how long these appointments are. Let's go ahead and book somebody. And pro tip here, if anybody isn't aware, if you want to see when you're on your administrative side, if you want to see what times are going to be offered on your online schedule, you can select um, the magnifying glass and it'll highlight all those start times that are going to be showing. So if we have a look at this one we just booked, it's at 10:15. We'll see here the next start time on that day would have been 10:45 on your online booking. So you can see here, they're offered every 30 minutes.
Yeah. So that stagger booking we just looked at, that 5 minute one, if you'd chosen that, the next session would have started at 10:20, right?
You got it. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. And then I guess it'd be nice to have a look at and maybe like booking breaks out across multiple shifts, just so that, you don't want to make the mistake of, booking a shift for one, like a break, sorry, for one room, but not
Hmm.
for the other room, right? We want to get across them all.
Yeah, yeah. So to enable to put in a break, we're just going to go ahead and hit that break button at the bottom. And then I can go ahead and add my break. And one of the repeat options is to have it every day with a shift. So then every shift I have on my schedule here is just going to go ahead. I can put a repeat until maybe it's just actually the 2 days. This way I don't have to add it to all 4 of those. I can go ahead and it's going to put those 4 breaks on there.
Perfect. Yeah, I've heard of people who accidentally just booked it in on one room, but another room or chair was still open and somebody turned up. So
Yeah.
that's a good tip. Yeah, I'd love to go over resources too. I know that a lot of our practitioners have, add-on services, and usually they come with nice fancy machines. But they might only have one or two, and if there's a big practice of practitioners using those machines,
Hmm.
we don't want to double book those too, right? So
Hmm.
maybe we'll have a look at setting up resources and how they work.
Yeah, so resources can be used for a physical equipment or even your availability. So if you are a type of practice, I know acupuncturists and chiropractors are like this as well, where if they have an initial visit and if they do offer that stagger, maybe they only offer that for return patients. And for those initial visits, they don't want any other patient to be able to book at that time. So those are kind of the 2 cases we see resources being used for. And so what you would do, it would kind of depend on if you are setting it up to block off a room or to prevent that usage of the equipment. So to create a resource, we would come here and head to our settings and then down to the resources page here. So again, it will depend if you have one equipment piece, you're going to create one resource for that piece of equipment. If you, let's say in our example here where we have 2 shifts and I want to block off time for a patient, a new patient, I don't want to have a return patient or another new patient book in at the same time. I will need 2 resources because I have 2 rooms, if that makes sense.
It does
Um,
make sense. And for me, I'm a visual learner and I have to
yeah,
see it in practice.
yeah.
But on paper it sounds Perfect. But
Yeah.
when we see it, I'm sure it'll make a lot more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So I've gone ahead and created some resources here. So I've named them availability 1, availability 2, and then we also have one for our device, the laser hair removal device. So let's see this in action. So first, to block off the room here, and actually I'm going to go ahead and delete these appointments. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I missed a step. We've
So we need
created
to
our
apply.
resources. We've created our resources. Now we need to apply them to what treatments we need those for. So in our settings, we would head down to the treatments and classes, and let's go to one of these ones where we're blocking off the additional room that I offer. In that example here, it's going to be our IV. So if this is a type of treatment where I do not want any other appointment booked at the same time, I would use all 2 resources. So if I scroll down here to our resources, remember these were the availability ones, and I would set this to require both of those rooms.
So
Yeah.
that availability basically acts as like your pool of how available you are. Or you can give it whatever
Mhm,
name, but that
mhm,
treatment is going to pull both of them, which basically makes your schedule full.
yeah.
Otherwise, you take one, and Jane would say, "Hey, there's still one there. Someone else can
Mhm,
still go in and take a spot."
yeah. Yeah, and that's actually a good, so if you do have a type of treatment though that it doesn't matter if there's another person booked in, I can overlap those. And those ones I would set my availability to 1 rather than 2. I do need 1. Yeah. If it's a physical equipment, the resource that you have, so if you have one, in our example here, laser, that pool is only 1. So I don't have to create multiple unless I do have multiple lasers. And then I need to apply the resource to that treatment. So in our example here, I believe it was the functional or fractional laser here. And at the bottom, we would assign it to that one laser device I have. Yeah. So let's now see these in use. So we'll first show the blocking off the time. So I have one appointment booked here already, and this was one that required 2 resources. So it is blocking off the other room. And if I go to schedule another appointment during this time, we'll see here those are unavailable. And if I even still continue to try booking these, we'll see here that I am not able to. So I'll get a big message saying resources are not available.
Yeah, and I guess another good thing to shout out is, if you're doing the booking yourself administratively, you do have control to still book there if you want, but Jane has a few safeguards like those pop-up
Hmm.
messages to say, like, this may cause an issue if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
very busy, right?
yeah, definitely. So if you did want to override those resources, I can just uncheck these and still book that appointment if I wanted to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
If we then actually go book an appointment that we set to only one resource, so if we go to book the other one, it only is going to block off one of them, so I'm still able to book another visit beside this one here.
Yeah, and your clients too will be able to book in beside it.
Yes, exactly. However, if I tried to book in one of these ones that required 2, I would not be able to as there's only one available.
Perfect. Um, that can get a little bit confusing. So I think it's good to shout out our support. If you've set this up or you need a helping hand getting these resources or rooms set up, you can always give us a call as well or shoot us an email. Um, and get us to have a look at your settings for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. With the advanced scheduling, they are called advanced for a reason. They can kind of, I know for me, it takes my brain a little bit to wrap my head around resources. So definitely book in for a call or give us a call. Yeah, and then another thing is you can see your resource schedule. So at the top, you can see which resource is being used and when.
And there should be a room view too, right? If you set up
Yes.
multiple rooms, you can see
Yep.
where your staff members are on any day, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, there's a couple little small things I'd love to quickly go over. Um, One of them is branding. So if you're new to Jane, there's a little area where you can, make your Jane online booking site look like, your brand, your practice, match your color schemes, pop in your logo. Or if maybe you can show us where we can set that up.
Yeah, so that's set up in your settings here, and you'll see one of the settings is branding. So here you can change the color scheme of your online booking site. We can upload your logo, an email header, even a background image if you wanted to put in. I know some people change this for holidays, if you wanted a nice like wintry scene, spring scene, Halloween, you can change that at any time. And then if you are wanting to link Jane from your website, we can come here and grab the codes to embed onto your website.
Awesome. And then last one, I think, before we end our session is thinking about, IV therapy and, treatments like that and practices that offer those type of treatments. A lot of those appointments come with aftercare instructions or post treatment instructions. And to save a few trees and save your printer bill, you are able to share those instructions with your clients through their Jane portal. So maybe we'll show them how we can share those aftercare instructions.
Yeah, definitely. So this can be done kind of one of two ways, I guess you could say. So you can upload them as a chart entry if you would like. So in the charts, I can come here and select the new chart entry, add in my file image, and then if you've got that aftercare instructions as a document on your computer, we can go ahead and upload those here. Once it's uploaded, you can go ahead and make it visible to your patient, and then they are sent an email. Actually, you have the option to send them the email to notify them, and it links them to their patient portal. The other option is just to load it up to their patient files here. So not necessarily a chart entry, same thing. I can select the add file, and then I can select a document from my computer and then share that with them onto their patient portal.
Yeah, that's a good shout out about having those post treatment files on like the desktop or a shared computer,
Mhm.
especially if you have other practitioners or front desk staff who would usually hand over those printed instructions, or even throw them in a Google Drive. Right, I've heard a lot of clinics just having like a shared Google Drive with these shareable files. So yeah, that's great. Thank you, Brooke. I think that's it for today. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks for the last couple of sessions in our office hours for December. I don't know where the time has gone this year. I know, right? But these last couple of sessions are going to be going over, things you need to maybe know for your end of year with Jane, like resetting insurance, making sure your breaks are in so that people aren't booking in during the holidays when you're at home having hopefully a glass of wine or a big meal with your friends and family. So we'll see you very soon with some good instructions to set you up for success in the new year. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.